Because if we stay at the place where there are many voices, many frameworks, many questions, and much confusion, there will be no progress. So sometimes it's best just to choose one thing. You know, when we're preparing for essays or coursework, and do I take this approach, this approach, this approach, this writer, this one? Let me go and watch television. This is stress-free. If I keep looking at that stuff, I'll get confused. My shoulders will come up to my ears, my head will come down, and I'll look like a chicken. Alright? It's much better, in my experience, to just do one thing. Because at least then we're making progress. Even if we know it's not quite right. Does that make sense? Because it's better to be a little bit wrong than to do nothing. Yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah. Because what I say to my students is, the best thing to do in terms of starting your essay is just to tell yourself it's okay to write rubbish. Tell yourself it's alright, this is a draft, I'm allowed to write rubbish. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's okay. Because better 3,000 words of rubbish that you can edit than 1,000 words of perfect text that's still in your head. Yeah? Better words on this than words in head. Even if the words on this are rubbish. You can always edit rubbish. You can't edit when it's just in here. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You can't show the professors, yes, look sir, look at the ideas in my head. Aren't they good? Because sir will say, you have a personality problem, you need to see a physician. Right? So, simple steps forward. Can you have the next slide, please? She's so cross with me. Have you done this one? You've done this one, yes? You don't know about Xerox? Okay. So there are 6-point problem solving for Xerox. Thank you. So look at this poor fellow here. Here's how we feel very often. He too has no hair, but he's ashamed. I have no hair, but I'm proud. Can you see any resemblances? Right. Now this fellow doesn't know how to do this. Okay? Now, this is what, in some of the management books, they say Xerox's approach to solving problems. So the first thing we do is identify and select the problem. Now remember, I'm a social scientist. So when I talk about identifying and selecting a problem, that is a choice. I'm making a choice there. There isn't a problem that exists in some kind of platonic or essential form that I have to discover, but I have to make sense of a situation. Does that make sense? Are we okay with that? Yeah. Right. For example, as operation managers, you might consider it a problem that your workers decide to be lazy and decide to hold up production. For you, that's a problem. Does that make sense? Yes. For the workers, it's not a problem at all. It's a good thing. The managers aren't watching, we will misbehave. That's a good day's work. For you, this is a problem. For them, this is a holiday. Okay? So, this is not, as we say in the UK, an innocent activity. When you identify and select a problem from a range of things going on, you are making choices. Yes? You understand? Does that make sense? Yes. There's not a simple and obvious problem that exists like this box. It's the application of mind to something that allows us to understand it as a problem. Does Does that make sense? So this is a choice. So we need to be aware of the choices that we make, because we might have to account for them. So the professor might say to me, why did you choose to address your lecture to this particular problem? And I might have to explain my reasoning process. You okay with that? So again, we analyze and choose one part of it. We then look to understand how that thing works, what's going on. We then generate a range of potential solutions, not just the one thing, but a range. Again, you know all this, yes? You know all this. You generate a range of potential solutions. You select and plan those solutions. Okay? So from this range, you select one or two, you might test, and you plan their implementation and you implement them. And then you evaluate those solutions to see if they actually solve what you consider to be the problem. You're familiar with this way of working, yes? But remember that all the while you're making decisions, you are making choices. And that there is no, from what I understand of kind of Indian philosophy, there is no material reality out there. It's how we understand things and how we there's that relationship between other people's understandings and behaviour and ours. It's a kind of backwards, forwards interaction. Does that make sense? So, any solution we offer is going to be partial because we don't know what's going on. Even in simple terms, I know that you're all very serious people and that you don't have girlfriends or boyfriends because you're very serious people. Is that right? From here, hell no. Hell no. Now, sometimes you got your cheap Chinese copy of an iPhone. Right? We'll talk about intellectual copyright later on. Right? But sometimes when you haven't got a text from your wife, girlfriend, partner, husband, boyfriend, whatever, right? You can interpret that silence to mean different things. If you're a boy, she hasn't texted me, she's okay. If you're a girl, he hasn't texted me, he hates me. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? No. So, what I'm trying to say is that there will be different responses, because you might text someone and say, how are you doing? Now your girlfriend, wife, partner, friend who happens to be a girl, right, might interpret that very differently to you. And when she says, oh, I really missed you so much, what the hell are you talking about? I just said, do you want a coffee? For goodness sake, not do you want to marry me? So what I'm trying to say is that the world is based on relationships and understandings. You have to negotiate what's going on. There is no one truth. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, because, as I said, joking aside, the professor sees the world one way. The professor sees this place one way. You see it very differently. It's not, sirs is correct. Yes, it is. I mark their papers, I can throw them out. I'm right. Right? And yours is wrong. But they're different. Okay? So any solution we plan and implement will be contingent on feedback. Because we may find out that what we thought was an effective solution had no effect at all. So we need to be adaptable. So that's the point of generating many solutions. So if this one doesn't work, we try this one. Okay? Let me tell you a story if you don't mind. When my other daughter, she's 25, when she was much younger, she still is stubborn and strong, just like her mother. So I know you don't have these, but because you're very obedient. When you were small, you're very obedient, weren't you? Very respectful. My daughter's room, you know, like those suits you need for going into radioactive places. When you went into her bedroom, you had to have one of those suits on, because God only knows what was living in that room. You have to open the door and it'd be like, because there'd be crisp packets and things, tea rusks, clothes, you don't know how long have been there. You couldn't see the floor or the carpet because it was covered in clothes. Banana skins. Female stuff. When you're a father, you get too much information, trust me. Now, sometimes I'd say to her, forgive me for what I'm about to do. Go and tidy your room. It's a mess. It's a holocaust. You have weapons of mass destruction. There are chemical weapons on the floor. Tidy the room before the US attacks our house. Right? And unlike this fellow, he's very happy. Yes, Papa. My daughter would sit like this. So this time, have you seen this in your parents? Go and tidy your room, for goodness sake. It won't kill you. It might do. I don't want to take the risk. You can feel shooting pains up the left side of your body. You know this one. You can feel the heart attack coming. These students, oh God. So I realized one day, wisdom came to me. Because as far as she's concerned, if I stand here, right, she has no choice but to defy me. She can't, because there is no, this neck of hers can't bend. There is no joints in her neck. It has to stay like this. She can't do this. So if I stand there shouting, she can only defy. To maintain her sense of self, she can only defy me. Then I realized, I need you to go and tidy your room. If you tidy your room, will happen. If you don't, will happen. I will be back in 5 minutes. Now, if I leave the room, she has choices. She has space to make a choice. If I'm here, no space to choose.